What are some problems you and your family or friends encountered that seem like they came out of the blue? Dad ignores birthday for over a decade. Now, he wants to celebrate, and throws a hissy fit when I say no. Debating no contact. My biological mother and I had birthdays that were exactly 5 days apart. On day 3, right in the middle, we'd split the difference, and have a joint celebration. Some years that was a massive party with friends and family, and some years that was cooking our favorite meal, and baking a cake together. But it was always something we were really excited for. She died when I was 13. When I turned 14, Dad said it was too painful to celebrate my birthday without Mom being there. I had the opposite view, that this was a tradition we had and I wanted to use it to remember her. Dad said that our joint birthday just wasn't something he was up to celebrating that year. He later rang round our relatives, and told them that I didn't want to do anything and I had decided I was too old to celebrate my birthday. From my 14th birthday onwards, I have never gotten so much as a happy birthday from anyone. I would use my lunch money to buy a cupcake on my birthday when I was still at school. And as an adult I buy a very expensive, £4 a slice, piece of cake from this very upscale bakery near where I live, and that's the extent of my celebration. In this time, Dad and I grew further apart. We were never close to begin with. I'm a girl, and Dad didn't really know what to do with me. He'd grown up in a house with 4 brothers, and a father, no mother, and was always much more comfortable with my brother, so Dad and I went from being sort of close to pretty much strangers, which got worse when I moved out. Dad has gotten remarried in the last couple of years. They eloped, and I didn't even know he was seeing anyone until after he called me to tell me I now had a stepmother. She has apparently, this is what my brother said, been getting on his back a bit about our relationship, in that I have not seen Dad in person in 4 years because I live in a different country to him. He came to my graduation, and we only really talk 3 times a year, on his birthday, my brother's birthday, and at some point during Hanukkah. Note, we have always celebrated my father and brother's birthdays every single year with large parties. Dad called to ask what we were doing for my 25th birthday in January. I said nothing. He kept pushing because apparently 25 is the big birthday that needs celebrating, because F my 18th, 20th, and 21st, am I right? I eventually said I'd be getting myself a slice of cake which I would eat alone. We got into a bit of a scrap over the phone which ended with him saying fine, we'll get a freaking slice of cake, what else? To which I said nothing, and the cake is kind of a solo activity, you know, like every other birthday I've had in years. Dad then got quiet, and then he said, I was just trying to do something nice, there is no need to go playing the martyr before hanging up. My brother later told me he'd canceled their trip. I am now getting messages from my stepmother, who I have never had a conversation with ever in my entire life, begging me to reconsider. She is clearly on some kind of tourist website for my country, and is saying we could go to tourist attraction, or we could go to famous restaurant. I keep saying no, I am not doing any of that. But she keeps pushing. I am itching to block her. My brother called me asking what was going on from my end. What was the issue? Why wasn't I alright with them coming to see me, and celebrating my birthday, and so on. Dad took the phone out of my brother's hand, and asked again what we were doing when they came to see me for my birthday. I'm already at minimum contact, but I'm honestly so tired of this. There is nothing tying me to them. I have no obligation to be in touch with them except for the biological aspect. I'm already at very low contact, so no contact wouldn't be that drastic a change. The thing that gets me is that there's still not even been an acknowledgement for the last 11 years of bullcrap. It's like he just expects things to be totally smoothed over. I've not said any of this to any of them, but I don't know how. Am I overreacting to think that maybe it's better if just I don't bother with any of them? You can't nurse your baby in the nursing room. So, many shopping malls have feeding rooms in the malls, usually near a food court. I am a new mom, and suffering from postpartum depression. I will feed my baby anywhere if he is that hungry, but for the most part I try to run for the nursing rooms. I don't think feeding my baby in public is bad, and with my postpartum depression, I will either ugly cry or go postal if someone tells me I should let my baby starve because boobs are offensive. I won't know until it happens. Now in the mall closest to us, there is a lovely nursing room with change tables, free diapers on some days, and a family bathroom attached. Now right side is another family bathroom, but this one has these toilets that are made for very small children, so a lot of parents bring their being potty trained kids in. No big deal. I never get any nasty comments, mostly moms cooing at the newborn babies. So about a week ago I was there for my weekly mall walk. As suggested by my caregiver for my PPD, my son starts to signal that he's hungry. My seriously amazing mother-in-law who goes with me every week went to get me a snack in the food court and I began nursing my son. There was only one other woman in there feeding her baby, but the room is shaped like an L because of the family washroom, and she was around the corner. I am feeding him when a woman brings in her toddler to use the family bathroom. The kid notices my baby, and points. "Kid, look mommy, there's a baby." The woman didn't turn, and just nodded her head as she was looking at her cell phone. I smiled at the kid. "Kid, what's his name?" "Me. Oh, his name is Liam." The kid walks up to me, and is about 2 feet away just watching the baby. Doesn't even notice the boob really. He is just smiling, and watching my son feed. The mom looks up from her phone, and gets this sour look on her face. She grabs her kid, and pulled him away. She opens the family room washroom, and puts him in there by himself, and shuts the door. I am a little surprised, but it's none of my business so I just try to look down at my son, and feed him. She coughs and I look back up. "Kid's mom, do you really need to do that here?" Me? Confused. "Here, like in this chair?" Kid's mom, glaring, "No, in this room. This family room. Can't you just go to the ladies' bathroom, and do that?" Now, this room's entrance that has a sign on it that says in big bold letters nursing room, either a figure feeding their child. It happens to have a family washroom inside, but it isn't just a family room. And even if it was, I'm pretty sure breastfeeding I'm more than welcome in the room. Anyway, I'm in shock and I feel my face getting red with embarrassment. Like I said, I am suffering PPD and I have serious doubts about my capabilities of being a mom, despite evidence that says I am doing well. Me said in a hushed whisper, "I think you have been mistaken. This is the nurse." "Kid's mom, why can't you just pump at home or better yet just use formula? You breastfeeders are always looking for excuses to expose your breasts. You're gonna traumatize my son." I can feel my eyes burning. I hate myself for this because I normally would have let her have it. But before I can say anything the door opens, and in enters my mother-in-law. She has some food for me, and is staring at this woman. Kid's mom barely looks at my mother-in-law. At this point the other nursing mother has loaded up her child, and leaves the nursing room. My mother-in-law joins me not realizing what is happening. She does notice my face though, and gasps. "Mother-in-law, huggable crochet. Are you alright?" I shake my head, and a few tears do fall. "Kid's mom, you need to teach your daughter to learn some self-respect. She's exposing herself to children in a public place. She needs to do that in the bathroom." My mother-in-law breastfed in the 90s when it wasn't nearly as common as it is now, and didn't have nursing rooms, and had a ton of pushback for feeding in public when her son, my husband, was hungry. She got pissed, and stood. "Mother-in-law, whatever you said to my daughter-in-law, you better apologize, right the hell now. She is in the nursing room of all places, and if anyone is in the wrong, you are." At this moment the family room bathroom opens up, and her son came out. When he did, his mother grabbed him, and covered his eyes. She is glaring at me again and I am actually crying now, cursing my hormones. I had draped my jacket over my stroller, and she grabbed it, and proceeded to toss it at me, in what I assume was an attempt to cover me up. My mother-in-law stopped the jacket from hitting me or her grandchild. "Mother-in-law, I suggest you leave." Kid's mom is still glaring at me, and hissing about me destroying her son's innocence when the door opens again. A female security guard enters, and looks at us. She takes one look at us, makes eye contact with me, and sees me crying. Kid's mom jumps right in. "Kid's mom, this woman is exposing herself to my son." The security guard was having none of it. We had complaints from another mother that there was a woman shaming a mother for using the nursing facility. "Kid's mom, she is misusing this room. This room is for mothers, and their children to use." "Mother-in-law, she is a mother using it for her child." Security guard, to kid's mom, "I'm going to tell you right now to leave, or I will remove you by force." The poor child starts crying. And he's loud enough my son lets go of my nipple, and starts crying too. Poor kid was probably scared. But this was too much for kid's mom because my breast was completely exposed now. Kid's mom, "See, she's exposing herself." Security guard is clearly having a bad day because she just takes her walkie-talkies, and speaks into it. Security guard, "I need another security staff to the nursing room." Repeat, "I need another security staff to the nursing room." She puts away the walkie when there is a muffled response, and she stares down the kid's mom. Kid's mom is stunned, but is still covering her kid's eyes. I jump into mom mode, and I am trying to calm my son, breast still hanging out. She tries to argue with the security guard, but is getting nowhere. My mother-in-law offers to take my son while I cover myself. I put my bra cup back over my exposed breast, and pull my shirt down. I am still sobbing, but my mother-in-law is able to calm my son, and return him to me. I just want to go and I tell my mother-in-law that. The rest is a blur, but security guard says I can stay, and leave a statement. and they can call the police too about harassment charges. I honestly should have, but I am so embarrassed, and just want to go home. My mental state was pretty far gone. My mother-in-law really thinks I should have stayed, but I just wanted out of there. We ended up leaving just as the other security guard shows up. This one a male. I don't know what happened, but I hope that the kid is alright. He really just looked curious about the baby. Regrettably, I am too nervous to return to the mall. I hate that I let this woman into my head. I can't wait for spring when it will be easier to take my son anywhere. Canadian winters suck. Daughter called crying to have us pick her from a sleepover. I'm concerned and freaking out. My daughter has been looking forward to going to a sleepover for her friend from kindergarten. We've hosted sleepovers as well with the same group of kids, so I felt totally comfortable. Tonight around 8:30, she called my husband and asked him to come get her. She was crying and just kept saying please, please, please. This is really abnormal for her. When we picked her up, the mom was cordial, but seemed annoyed she had to stay up. No judgment, I totally get it. When we got home, she begged me to wash her hair, which is rare because she hates hair washing day with a passion. The way we do it is she rinses and does her first wash, and about 5 minutes I come in and shampoo. When I went to wash, I saw her earrings, little hoops, were gone, and her ears were bright red. When I asked where her earrings were, she started to cry. After her shower, I went to tuck her in and touched her shoulder. She asked me to stop because it hurt. I asked why does it hurt, and she got quiet, and then said Mary's girl who had the sleepover. Big brother hit her a lot, and called her a word we say is bad no matter what, the N-word, because she wouldn't kiss him. I went numb, and went to get her some ice for her shoulder. Told her I loved her, and to not worry that it won't happen again. We snuggled until she fell asleep. It's now midnight, and I'm so upset. My daughter is 5, and I wholeheartedly trust her. She usually brags about her injuries because she was doing something brave and cool to get them. I don't know what to do. Do I show up at Mary's house and demand an explanation? Do I call someone because he's 16? I'm lost, and want to be rational. Here's an update. I am grateful for the support. As for my daughter, she's doing well. Back to her normal self. She's a funny kid, so normal is a loose term. This morning, we had an extremely early appointment with a Johns Hopkins affiliate hospital, who provided us with a pediatric doctor who specializes in childhood female trauma, and a non-play-based psychiatrist. The doctors confirmed my daughter's story about being hit, and assured us that there were no signs of other physical assault. We also learned throughout the night she was being bullied by another girl who kept calling her nasty and dark. For the record, my daughter is mixed, and was the only person of color at the party. This girl is the one that ripped out her earrings. I also reached out to Mary's mother. I was surprised how concerned she was when I told her, and said how sorry she was. Her son was only home for about an hour between baseball practice and his friend picking him up for a concert. I also brought up the fact he hit my daughter, and called her the N-word. She was upset he said these things, but said unfortunately, he mainly lives with father who perpetuates these beliefs. We are now heading to drop our daughter off at her cousin's, who is aware of the situation, while we go to file a police report, and provide them with the doctor's findings. His mother says she will comply, and if she needs to turn him in she will. We will be faxing some paperwork to her school, and will request she not be allowed in a class with Mary next year. After doing all of this, I'm going to take his Xanax. We let our daughter know how proud we are of her, and that she's so strong that she's helped make sure he won't hit anyone else. Thank you all. Speak English or get out. Background: I'm severely hard of hearing, but consider myself deaf. When your hearing is that shot, you might as well be. I also operate a very small, local deaf meetup group in my local area, which includes a hearing person, one of my roommates, who just seems to enjoy hanging out with us, and we're fine with that. When with the group, I don't wear my hearing aids, as that roommate is usually fine with handling things if and when hearing is needed. He's a trooper. At this particular meetup, which happened this morning at Shoney's for their breakfast, we came across an entitled parent. The story: everyone was seated, casually nomming their favorite breakfast items from the breakfast bar at Shoney's, everyone signing and giggling back and forth with one another, and enjoying our time together. But we did notice a kid that was nearby bugging my roommate about something. I wouldn't know what's being said until after we arrived home after the meetup, and will include the conversational bits where relevant. Kid: why aren't any of you talking? Roommate: I can talk. They are deaf and can't hear speech, so we use sign language to talk. Kid: that's cool. Kid runs off, and roommate didn't think anything more of it. It's not uncommon for someone to ask about sign language here or there, or ask us how to say something or get advice on where they can learn the language. Sounds like nothing spectacular so far, I know, but it wasn't until we were ending our little meetup and start saying our goodbyes when the kid's mother approaches our table. Again, the deafies are just thinking yet another person with a sign language question. The Hiri can handle it. Apparently, the kid's mom was so offended that we weren't speaking vocally that she intended to make her opinion known. Kid's mom, you need to stop doing the hand signal stuff, and speak English. It's very rude. Roommate, I'm sorry, what? These guys are deaf, so. Kid's mom cuts him off. I don't care if they are deaf, they can speak English like everyone else in America. Roommate, no, they can't. Literally 2 of these people were born completely deaf. They don't know what English even remotely sounds like. Kid's mom, it's not my fault they are retarded, they should still speak English. And you too, stop messing about with your hands, it's very rude. Roommate, it's very rude to insist people with a disability to cater to your sensibilities, and honestly I wish I were deaf myself, so I wouldn't have to hear the screeching of a heartless swine with less than 2 brain cells to rub together. Kid's mom, you can't speak like that around children. She ends up huffing and running off. At this point though, she's gotten the attention of everyone at our meetup. We all were thinking that was the end of it, and the roommate signed to us telling us crazy lady thinks we're throwing gang signs, and other stupid stuff. Everything's fine. Well, turns out kid's mom ended up getting the manager demanding we be kicked out. So enter manager stage left. Manager arrives at the table with kid's mom, and the poor kid in tow. Kid's mom having looking smug like she just accomplished something huge. Manager, I've got a complaint that your entire party has been rude and cussing. The manager notices sign language being used, and asks the kid's mom, ma'am, do you know what they are saying? Kid's mom, no, not at all. They are not speaking English, which is very rude. We're in America, and in America we speak English. Roommate swears this is what she said, and since we do live in the sticks I wouldn't put it past that someone would say something like this. Manager, ma'am, we can't kick people out for not speaking English. Kid's mom, but they are insulting me, and my kid, just look at them. At this point it's worth noting that when we're discussing something, or someone, if the object of discussion is available, they are pointed at. At no point in our discussion did we point at the kid's mom nor her kid. What we were talking about was various subjects from cats, to the gal we got recently invited from Walmart talking about wanting to get a fish tank, and a small fighter beta, and other places they'd like to go for the next meetup. So nothing involving the kid's mom nor her kid. Roommate, actually, points to one of us, she's talking about getting a fish tank, and getting a beta fish, points to me. He's getting information on where the next meetup might take place, points to the black guy. He's talking about a kitten he recently adopted, points to the kid's mom, and she's being rude insisting deaf people need to stop using sign language to accommodate her sensibilities. The manager surprisingly signs to the group asking if we found everything to our liking. We all practically say yes to some degree. Yes, okay, etc. different signs. The manager proceeds to inform the kid's mom that she'll need to leave us alone or he will have to ask her to leave. She apparently continued to complain about how we continued to sign after all this, and was asked to leave. She did, and apparently screamed how she's never coming back. The manager gave us 10% off our bills, except the roommate who dealt with the brunt of it, who got his meal free. TLDR, curious kid was interested in what sign language was, and why it was used. Good kid. Kid's mom thought it was rude for the deaf to use sign language instead of speaking English so she could understand our conversation. Gets manager involved thinking she could have deaf people kicked out for being deaf. Gets herself kicked out. Subscribe and turn on the notification bell for more stories delivered to you. Thanks for listening. See you later.